All right, our guest is here. Let's bring him on. All right. Our guest today is the one and only AEW Disciplinary Committee from Tooney Talk Wrestling, otherwise known as Dis. How you doing today, my friend?
You gotta get him as a speaker.
Yep. No, I put him in as a speaker, but I invited him to speak. You know how these things work. Takes a second for everybody, but we're good. We got plenty of time.
Let people come in first.
Yup. Oh, absolutely. There's some music or something in the background. All right. Yeah, my mic.
You went into an echo chamber.
Well, my mic has like a weird, it says it like disconnects, but it's connected fine, but I can hear it when it pops. So it was just being weird. You know, technology.
Dis, how are you, Dis?
I'm doing all right. Is this working?
I can hear you, buddy.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're good.
Okay, good. I was talking to nobody there a minute ago.
Happens to the best of us,
right.
my friend.
I'm a little hoarse after last night. Did some yelling when Truth came out. My kid went nuts, so it was a cool moment. But yeah, I'm doing all right.
So sure.
Hey, Dis, before we jump into yesterday, speaking of your child, I wanted to ask you, do you have a little side project going with him?
Yeah, over on YouTube. Yeah, if you go to YouTube, you can search Maxed Out Media. It's spelled MAXXD Out Media.
Nice.
And it's a summer project we do. He wants to learn about video editing, and I have a fascination with lost media, so we kind of shoved them together, and he's helping me do that stuff. So we should be picking up some videos here in the next few weeks, now that he's out of school. So yeah, check that out. Give us a sub over there. That'd be super. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I normally would ask that at the end, but I know we only have a short time with you, so I wanted to get it out of the way in the beginning.
And we've got a lot to cover.
I do have to bust out here. Yeah, I do have to bust out here at 8 or 9 your time, I suppose, because, got to take kids home, but yes.
Yeah.
Understood.
So getting into yesterday, Dis.
Right?
take your bows if you wish.
Yeah, this time is yours, buddy.
First place I get to do it, except, I did a little bit on X last night, but yeah, man, okay, so I'll take you through the whole, we for Tooney Talk, we have 2 different group chats. We have the one that is where you put all the actual news and stuff, and the other ones where we just fart around and make fun of people and stuff, And, in the news one, Beard posted the thing about Truth, and his initial thing was like, oh, it's hilarious. It's instead of an April Fool's joke, he's doing a June Fool's joke. It's funny. And, Marv came up and he's like, no, this is real, man. And we started looking around, but I was like, no, this is not real. There's no way this is actually happening. You can't release our truth like that. I don't care, even if the only thing that came through my head that maybe it was a possibility was that it could have been another Cody Rock situation from last year where it was a mandate by TKO. They sent something down to Triple H and was like, here, we need to cut costs at, do whatever you can. I don't care who it is. The guys that have been here forever, get rid of them. We need to cut costs. And Triple H is like, all right, watch what happens, and he did the R-Truth thing.
Yeah.
Just like with Cody when he said, when they wanted the Rock thing, he's like, all right, watch what happens. And you saw what happened. So that's the only thing that could happen, because there's no way that's such bad optics. And WWE is, if anything, they have fantastic optics. They are never going to have them. So.
Yeah, I was thinking that there was a possibility that maybe his talent contract was running out and they were going to renew it at a different deal or maybe move him to a Legends deal, and they used this to their advantage. There's no way that they just did it and then had the fans lash out and bring them back either. There's absolutely no way. And I'm glad you said that about Cody and Rock last year, because I feel like that's exactly what Triple H did. He was like, okay, this is what you want. here, let's see what happens. And I feel like him and Cody, whether they said it or not, they kind of had that like nod at each other of like, it's all going to be fine. We know the crowd, as where Ari Emanuel and Rock think they know the crowd, but you know, it's bull.
Oh yeah. Clearly, if you watch that documentary,
Yep.
it's the funniest thing on earth because the Rock is in there just like, oh, well, yeah, you know, this was the plan the whole time. This was the Rock's idea. And it's just I can picture Triple H just doing that, that gif where he's smiling and nodding like that. Like, yeah, you keep talking, man.
Right.
You keep talking. Go ahead.
Whatever you need to believe there, Rocky. Sure. Yeah. Just get on your private jet. It's fine, buddy. Okay. Like he'll appease him, but yeah, he's not worried. He knows what's going on. And that smirk that he gave at the press conference last night was fantastic. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
it's all part of it.
If people are using R-Truth saying it's not a work as proof that it's not a work. It's like, it's a wrestler that he's not working you and you're like, oh, okay, I buy it. I believe that. You know, it's like, come on, dude, really? Like, especially if he's Ron Killings now, because if he's Ron Killings, then his whole gimmick is going against the man and doing that. That's all he did in TNA when he was Ron Killings. So the whole idea that he's like, no, this wasn't a work, and his son putting out the no cap thing on all that. It's like, this is what R-Truth was. He was against the man. He released a diss track on Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah.
Back in like 2007 or 2006. Yeah. So that's like his whole thing. So obviously Truth I'm assuming this new character is not going to come out and be like, happy-go-lucky Mr. Company man. He has to do the little thing that he did. But, you know, come on, guys. Are you really going to get worked by a wrestler? It's like, how can you, I go by the Jerry Lawler school of work, which is I'll believe someone's dead when I see him in a casket, you know?
Right.
So I'm harder to work, but wrestlers are always going to work. Hulk Hogan isn't lying. Hulk Hogan is not lying, people. Hulk Hogan is working. That's all his entire life is working.
No, there's a fine line there, but
no, it's like Scott Hall said it. Everybody's working some angle somewhere, man. May not be 100% work all the time, but there's something working pretty much everywhere, especially in this business. Yeah, I thought that was great seeing all the people saying, no, see, he posted. I also saw someone did the Photoshop of the old Hogan tweet of, you know, working yourself into a shoot marks and that whole thing. That was my favorite thing about it.
Right.
Yeah. That people, they'll believe what they want to though, as always. But yeah, this is the people scrambling to tell you how much they worked is probably my favorite part of today so far.
Right.
So you're
in the dirt.
Your son freaked out when they saw him.
You don't have.
I'm sorry, Dis.
Oh yeah. No, it's very good. Yeah. No, he totally flipped out because I kind of had to break the news to him, right? Like on Tuesday, because I'm doing the show downstairs, he can overhear it. And normally with this kind of stuff, I don't like to clue him in, you know, but he's going to hear me talk about Truth being released. So I had to tell him, I had to be like, yeah, dude, I mean, I don't think it's real, but you might not see our Truth again. And it hit him pretty hard. And when, he showed up on Saturday, dude flipped out, like absolutely. Sure. This was the biggest thing. This is the biggest reaction he's had since Cody beat Roman last year.
That's awesome.
Was seeing Truth come out. So,
I mean, that's, and like,
but I love the dirt sheets.
The audience.
Yeah. I love seeing the dirt sheet scramble too. Seeing like Sap and, BJ Bethel was doing it a little bit. Just, oh yeah, this happened last minute. Happened 30 seconds. They had no idea, you know, it's just like, dude, I mean, I know these spaces get weird. Our SRS isn't like hiding behind a corner going to jump out at me or anything, is he? But talk about.
No, we don't let anybody.
I was going to say, if he is, he's got to ask to speak. So we don't, we bring people on as we go. We try to be different around here. That's the whole idea.
I appreciate
no problem. It's worked very well and everyone seemed to enjoy it so far. So we're going to keep our plan going.
But yeah, the R-Truth stuff was great. And I love watching the dirt sheet scramble, even the good ones, you know, it's like, because WWE's working you guys. They're going to work the dirt sheets now. That's the way, that's the movement going forward. And I love it because I'm not somebody who's completely against dirt sheets. I understand where they have a place in this business, and it really just gives fans something to do more than anything. You know, without it, it's just like we'd be left to our own devices, talking in circles, yelling at each other. It'd be like 2008. So it's nice to have the villains, as part of the IWC. We all have the heels that we get to go after, but, it's funny. It's always funny watching them scramble and then watching WWE just kind of laugh and send cheese to them and stuff like that.
I was just gonna say, and send him a cheese wheel. I mean, even John Alba was trying to defend it by saying like, well, I talked to promoters that Truth talked to. Like, so Truth didn't work the wrestling promoters, or the wrestling promoters didn't work you? Like, come on, man. It's a business full of carnies. Just stop.
These people would have never made it during the 70s and 80s.
God, no. I think about that with Tony Khan, where
in art.
Oh, you're good. You go. You're good.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think about it with Tony Khan, where it's like sometimes where he thinks he wants to, like he thinks he could be a booker like back in the 90s, and I would just like to see like what guys like Nash or Hall or Hogan would have actually gotten out of him. I mean, we think he's overpaying people now. Can't even imagine what would have happened then. He couldn't handle it.
I'm sorry. Kevin Nash would have drained every cent out of that man. Kevin Nash would have owned the Jaguars by the time his contract was up.
Maybe even the bumper business. I don't know. Yeah, he would have really worked it.
Yeah. The working. Yeah. R-Truth is from back then too, right? You know, R-Truth was wrestling as Kate in like 2001, 2002. So he's that bit, and his buddies were, Road Dogg and Conan, who, by the way, Conan was in on it. You see Conan being like, well, he was getting paid $2.5 million a year. So I can see it's like they were all pushing it and all going. I love it. I love it. I love watching this. It's the best part of wrestling, and people that get mad that they're getting worked, watch something else, dude, because that's what this is. You should love being worked.
Yes, please.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. That's been the best part of WWE recently with their whole thing of like not of working the dirt sheets is we're getting the surprises. Like, I'm sorry, but that moment when Punk came back at Survivor Series, nobody knew that was going to happen. And like, that was a massive moment last night, massive moment. Like it's better this way. It's much more fun for us. And so, yeah, if I get worked, awesome. Please continue. It's enjoyable. It gives us stuff to talk about too.
And it keeps us
Did you watch the whole,
yes.
Did you watch the whole day last night? You watched the Worlds Collide and everything? Did you watch Worlds Collide and everything too?
I didn't get to watch all of Worlds Collide. I caught the Gable match at the end, which was fantastic.
Awesome.
That was the other thing too. It's like, you can't please everybody ever, because I remember when WWE bought AAA, the big overwhelming conversation on the IWC was, oh, they're going to ruin it. They're going to make it a cartoon, blah, blah, blah. First off, watch AAA. It's already a cartoon, dude. Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown.
I love Mr.
Iguana.
Everybody does.
Mr. Iguana, he's going to be on NXT within 2 months, I guarantee. But so everyone was talking about that. And then yesterday when I go online looking for people talking about Worlds Collide, I see, what was it? It was, WWE, does WWE really think that AAA is going to be a international successful promotion when it's a cartoon, you know, when it's built for kids, and the Mexican audience is not indicative of the worldwide audience? It's like, no, they bought a Mexican company to make a Lucha Libre wrestling company. That's what they wanted. This isn't going to be another WWE. This is NXT Mexico for all intents and purposes, you know? I love that they stayed true to what AAA was. I like that a lot of their guys went over. They didn't, go in and just change everything or bury the territory. Conan was there. The announcing was really good for that main event too. So yeah, I enjoyed what I saw. I'm going to go back and watch it when I have a little bit more time. And, I'll probably give more thoughts on, Tuesday, Tooney Talk Wrestling. You can
right
there. So.
There you go. Yeah, no, I thought it was a good show.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Go ahead.
No, I thought it was a good show. I was good. Play all means, George. You're on.
I said WWE wasted no time putting the shirts up for the AAA guys on their shop. That went up quick.
Oh no, because there's a cent to be made. And that's, you gotta respect it though, right? Like if there's a cent to be made, WWE's going to. And when people get on WWE about being so money hungry and grabbing for money and that kind of stuff, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit because it's like, guys, haven't we been harping on AEW for not being a business for like 5 years now? Isn't that everyone's number one criticism of AEW, that it's not a business? So, you know, are WWE ticket prices expensive? Sure. Stop buying them because people are still buying them, you know, and if people are going to buy them, if people are going to buy those shirts, if people are going to do all that, there's no reason when you're on this kind of a hot streak, you got to ride it out. And that's what they're doing. And I don't blame them at all. Like I said, it's a business first and foremost. So,
I mean, the business has always been to make money.
I know Last mentioned this on Cornette's podcast, but do you think AEW should start exploiting the fact that WWE is charging so much money? Like using it to their advantage?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I'm usually I am against going directly after WWE, but I mean that, you know, that cherry's been popped, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube there. So since we're already here and they are pretending like they're actually a competitor and that kind of thing, I know when they had the issue with Collision a few weeks ago, we're now 30. I might do a Maxed Out Media about the 30 minutes of Collision from a couple weeks ago, because I think that's lost media still. But
that counts to me.
When they did that, the first thing I said, I think I told MJ, look up ref. I think I told him, you know, AEW right should give away all-in tickets for like 2 days. Say, you know what? We screwed up. The last 30 minutes of Collision didn't air. I'm not saying it's our fault. I'm not saying it's WBD's fault, but it definitely wasn't the fans' fault. And since we are the fan company, right, 2 days, you were going to give away free upper level, you know, the cheap seats, but give them away and just fill up that stadium. You want to make it look good for TV. No one's going to bat an eye. No one expects you to fill it up. If you can fill it up with free tickets and say you're doing something for your fans at the same time, you're not going to lose a dime. You'll make money off merch. You'll make money off food, and it'll look better on TV, but you can't do it because, you know, their egos in play. But if I was going after them the way that they are, yeah, hit every single weakness they have. You can be cheaper than them, right? You can be more flexible. You can be more fan friendly. They should be doing more autograph signings. They should be doing more meet and greets and that kind of, do more sales on your merchandise. You know, anything you can do to get, that's how TNA survived for as long as they did. They can never beat WWE, but they could be the show that you went to because WWE was too expensive. You know, they could be the show that you went to because WWE didn't come to your town. And if AEW wasn't so intent on being WWE and going to the same town as WWE does, like I said, WWE used to do house shows. I live out in the middle of the country, and WWE used to do house shows about an hour away from here. They have completely taken that. The past 3 years, they have not come near it, right? That's a perfect opportunity for AEW to just jump in and take that spot. The fact that WWE isn't doing house shows, that gives you a whole bunch of new territories that you can go to that WWE is not going to be hitting up because they're too busy going to France and Saudi Arabia to hit up, you know, Rochester or Punkintown, Iowa or wherever, right. You know. You might as well become that brand, become everyone's hometown wrestling company. It's brand loyalty. They have no interest in doing it. I know that Tony Khan's now going in places and saying, we don't want people to gatekeep. Well, I'm sorry, dude. You did it to yourself. Okay.
A little late for that one.
You already got them down that road. Yeah. You can't go into your fans now and be like, no, we want everyone to be fans. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So.
Yeah, but that would take them focusing on themselves and their own world and their own house, as opposed to, no, we're competition, we're beating. Like, if they would focus on their own things, they could end up being competition and worrying about and working themselves into that. But from day one, it's been a fight, and we're picking on the big brother. We're gonna take punches at him, but not really, because if they punch back, we run away and hide. It's just sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, WWE was in a much weaker position when AEW started.
Very true.
And everyone wanted someone to come along and I wanted someone. I wasn't watching WWE when AEW started.
Neither was I.
I was ready for something new.
Yeah, I was brought back into it because of them. I 100% was.
Me too. Same exact story. I started watching again when AEW came around, and I thought it was okay. It was better than what WWE was putting out, man, because WWE had just been so repetitive and so bland and so Vince. That's the best way to describe it.
And you're willing to look over AEW had issues, but you were like, you're willing to work through that. You're like, they'll get better. But they didn't. That was the problem.
They didn't. They got worse. And they started the Punk, and then Punk came in and you're like, wait a second. Okay, Punk chose them, so we got something here. And then, but the problem is at the same time Punk was coming in, WWE was getting good again.
Right.
So it divided my attention. And then by the time Brawl Out happened, I was ready to abandon AEW at that point because WWE was on such a hot streak. And in my opinion, they still are. I know people are kind of getting down on them recently, but I still think they're pushing out.
I think a lot of that's the WrestleMania hangover though. I think people are like, oh, it's not as good now. I'm like, it's never as good right after Mania. Like it's still pretty good. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. And I think last night proved that to a lot of points, at least for me. But yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah. It depends on what you're going for, right? Like I was telling Marv because he was talking about how he felt it. And I'm like, but here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff on these shows that just, if I'm reading the show, I'm going to go, okay, I can skip that match. I can skip that match. I can skip that match. But then I can't skip matches because I'm sitting there watching with 11-year-old the whole time, right? And he wants to watch every second. Then you sit down and actually watch the stuff you were thinking you were going to skip. And you're like, you know what? This Kerry Sane Raquel Rodriguez match is actually pretty good. And Naomi winning the Money in the Bank. That's pretty awesome. Like what you're getting during this time is you're getting emphasis put on people. You would have never seen a Raquel Kerry Sane match in February. You know, you would have never seen Naomi win a big in December or in January around Royal Rumble time. This is when they're actually like trying these new people out. Lyra it's been a complete 180 with me on Lyra since WrestleMania. She has shown me so much with her feud with Becky. I thought nothing of her when she won that IC title. And she's actually made me care about her character. Little things like that. That's the reason that I actually like this time of year because you get introduced to these new characters and new people, or you see people who you've seen but didn't really connect with, and it changes. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, they're just getting pumped up for SummerSlam now. Now's the time they start introducing people, like you said, and getting everything wound up and getting everything towards SummerSlam. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a big summer too with Evolution 2, and then what is it, Night of Champions 2 coming up. So there's a lot coming on that they've got going, that they've really set themselves up well with building up those backstories. I've still enjoyed it. I mean, SmackDown can sometimes be a little bit tough with it being 3 hours, but I'm on the West Coast, so what I usually do. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, so what I usually do is I start it like a half hour, 45 minutes late and kind of catch up through the commercials, and I watch like the last hour live. It works out for me there, but I could see if I lived on the East Coast, like starting it at 8 o'clock would be a little rough, I could say. I admit that.
It's always that 2 hour and 30 minute mark where you're like, oh, wow, this show's about wrapping up. And then you look and you're like, oh, there's a half hour left, huh? Okay. It feels like SmackDown kind of feels like an AEW pay-per-view where it's not necessarily too long. It's not necessarily too long in terms of like a piece of entertainment. Like there are things that I'll sit down and watch for 6 hours, but I can't sit down and watch it for 6 hours if you're going to throw an Anarchy in the Arena match as your third to last match of the show and then follow it up with a trios match that I don't care about. And I'm sorry, Hangman Page, it might have been great if it had been on at 9 o'clock. Okay. But trying to sit through that thing at 11:30 when you're just wanting to go is, it's hard. And SmackDown's getting that way too. And you can tell Triple H doesn't want to do it. Because I remember when they asked him about it and he goes, nope, no, absolutely not. It is not permanent. We will be switching back. And then of course money happened and he had to make him
right. Yeah. It's not his call on that. Well, he even said it. I know it was, his interview with the SI guy, Jimmy Trina, right before the Raw Netflix debut. And he said, man, 2.5 hours is the sweet spot. And that stood out to me because I was like, haven't really watched a 2.5 hour wrestling show. And what are we, like 6 months into Raw being basically 2.5 hours every week? I'm like, yeah, he's right. That really is that perfect mix of time where you're still excited about the main event. You're not trying to dragging. And that's funny what you say about, Double or Nothing, because it was almost 9:00 local time, because it was here in Arizona where I am. It was out in Glendale, which is like a half hour from me. That's why I didn't even try to go. But you could see people leaving then, and like it wasn't even 9:00 local time. People are like tapping out because the show was too long. George and I have talked about it when we review the AEW shows. It's like every match goes about 5 to 10 minutes too long. And when you got 10 matches ahead of it, you're like, okay, uncle, I tap out. I have to go home. I got shit to do. I got a life. Especially on a Sunday night. I got to work the next day. Christ's sake.
I think my favorite piece of audio we've ever put out on Tooney Talk back nothing coverage, because we watched that whole freaking thing, and then we watched the post show. And if you go back and watch that, we do a thing where if we get $1,000 in donations, we'll watch the media scrum. And the media scrum is
that makes sense.
Terrible.
That makes, I'm like, okay, that's torture to watch that. Okay. $1,000, that makes sense.
But we make it pretty regularly. But the thing is that they're paying us because once we hit that number, it's like, all right. And we all like grab a drink and we sit back and it's like, we're going to be here for a while. And things get weird after we hit $1,000.
Right.
I don't think I mentioned wrestling 3 times from that point forward, and we still did like 4 hours of show after that.
Right. Cause it's not like those scrums are
what
like,
are you going to talk about?
Yeah. It's not like those are like the WWE scrums, which are still kind of boring, but at least they've got a plan to it. Like, hey, we're going to shoot to the desk inside the arena. We're going to talk to the desk outside. We're going to do out interviews with people in the back and then go to the press conference. Like the AEW one is just straight up torture. Like that's I can see why, like, all right, hey, we're all going to crack open a can and smoke them if you got them, if it's legal where you live.
Tony, hi Tony, this is, Bob from WrestleCrap.com. Or not WrestleCrap, that's a good site. WrestleBalls.com. Question. You're awesome. WrestleTwats. Question. I love you and you're awesome. How did you get to be so awesome? And how is AEW awesome? And then Tony goes, that's a really good question. Let me,
I'm surprised. Making all the faces during it, like, yes, I am awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did it feel to put on such a great 5.5 hour show? Oh, fuck you. And then I forget who it was, but somebody recently posted like, that there's no, they weren't fed the questions. I forget which dirt sheet moron did, but good Lord. No, there's no scripted questions for those. Just don't lie.
I know. I believe, you know what, dude? I believe it. And you know why I believe it? Cause I don't think any of those people would dare ask.
Right. They've vetted who they brought in. Like, yeah, they know.
Yeah. They none of them would dare because they get paid to fly there. They get hotel rooms. They get free tickets. They get
the interviews with the wrestlers
spots in the arena. Right. They're not gonna mess up that meal ticket. So, although we did get one tough question when he asked about Scorpio Sky. And of course he's like, it's a great question. And get him out of here right now. That kind of.
Right. All of a sudden, there's just a quick flash, and 3 guys in suits are there, and he's gone.
This kind of an obvious question. How did you get the name AEW Disciplinary Committee? How'd that work out?
Dude, pure luck. It was the night of, I called it the All Incident. Or no, it was not All Incident. It was the week after the All Incident when they said that they made the AEW Disciplinary Committee.
Yeah.
I made a post and it was like, it was, I bet this is what this sounds like. And I said, we here at the AEW Disciplinary Committee do this, blah, 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 blah. And it was, no, this post doesn't sound good. And then I was looking at Beard and I'm like, Beard is an AEW fan. That's his entire account. I'm just going to make my entire account the AEW Disciplinary Committee, and that's going to be my whole thing. Unfortunately, the material runs out pretty fast with that gimmick, but
like most AEW stories and gimmicks, it makes sense, yeah.
Right. But it stuck, and I was willing to change it before I got on the show, and they started calling me Dis, and now it's like, I'm just Dis more than anything.
It kind of sticks with you. Yeah, no, I I fell into my name because it's a play on my last name and the band AltJake, and then Phil brought me on his show, and that was the username I had on my YouTube at the time, and it was just kind of like, oh, well, shit, I guess I'm AltJake now. Cool. You know, it's like, whatever, works for me.
Better than mine. Yeah, screen names suck, right? I had my old screen name from back when I was like 18 was Green Noodles. And I thought it was so cool because I combined Green Day and Offspring, you know, because the basis from Offspring was noodles. So I'm like, oh, I'm so awesome. Look up. Now I'm 42. And when I have to, if I have to dig out that old email and give it to anybody, I just feel like a child when I do that, you know? So I have, but you don't want to use your real name either. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I get you. Hey, we're the same age. I turned 43 on the 19th, so we're right there with you, bud. I've got some email just in screen names of like, oh, what the hell was I thinking? Oh, I wasn't. That's what it was.
So
that's
all
right.
in
I
all,
was 17 years old.
Right.
Yeah, 17's a long time ago for me. Sorry. So what'd you think all in all about the Money in the Bank yesterday from like beginning to end minus the Ron Killings thing? Cause we've already discussed that part.
You know, yeah, there's a lot of stuff people are kind of not talking about, right? Because Ron Killings just kind of burst on the scene.
Right.
But can we talk about Logan Paul for a second?
Please.
Because I think something that people don't realize, if you watch that sequence where the only thing people are saying is like, oh, did you see that botch? And if you watch that sequence, I don't think that was a botch when he was doing the slingshot lariat thing and he slipped up a little bit. Because if you look at the way Jay was moving, Jay was ready on that super kick. So in the story that was being told at the time, that John Cena was frustrated with Logan Paul because of his inexperience and the fact that he wants to be so flashy and the fact that he can't just get the job done, right? That's the story they were telling. So the idea that he made a mistake totally fits into that story. If it didn't, they did it wonderfully. They made it work out and made it flow perfectly. But if they did, that's why someone like Logan Paul, and I know people hate him, but that's why he's valuable, because he's willing. Wrestlers do not like to do that kind of stuff. Jericho says that he botches on purpose all the time, but it does not happen very often. You get a guy who doesn't mind looking inexperienced, who doesn't mind looking like he's messing up because he's too flashy, and you can actually get great stories off of that. Braun did it too. Remember when Braun was the IC champion and the whole deal was that he was young, dumb, and full of cum, and he was going to make a mistake eventually, and that's why he lost to Sammy, because he made a mistake. Right. I love those stories, and they get told so rarely in WWE or in wrestling because everyone's so worried about how they look in their image, and they don't want to they don't want to look bad. Right, exactly. So when you get something like that, and dude, I don't care who you are, that
that's where I was headed, buddy. You read my mind.
It's so cool.
Like
I can't help it.
And he took two, and it wasn't even just the superplex, but he takes the splash too. And like, that's aside from obviously, yes, Ron Killings, R-Truth is the video or clip you're seeing the most, online after. But the second one I'm seeing the most of is that from Logan Paul. And the fact that he was willing to do that and make it work. Like, I know when he first came in, he really wanted to be a babyface and thought he was gonna be. But somebody worked with him and realized, like, no, you are the perfect heel. And he's bought into that. And yeah, he's a douchebag, but the character he's supposed to be, it works. Like, he's such a great heel. Like, you love to hate him. It works.
And, while we're on Money in the Bank too, I think I kind of cooled out on the whole Money in the Bank gimmick. So the idea of giving it to Seth does not bother me at all.
Makes the most sense.
It's basically a year off, right? We don't have to deal with the stupid, is he going to cash in tonight? Is he going to cash in tonight? That's the thing that everyone got tired of. And we don't have to deal with that now because Seth's going to cash in probably in the next month.
And then it's just going to be tomorrow, honestly. And then the way that match works.
Yeah, probably. That'd be my guess. And then you have Naomi winning, who she deserves it. She's been there a long time. That her thing on the post show actually kind of hit me a little bit, tugged at my heartstrings when did you see that by chance? Where she was talking to Big E? Yeah. Yeah. I loved it cause she turns around to the crowd and she like, I'm a heel. Stop cheering for me. Like, she couldn't help it with the ball. It was adorable. So
Yeah, no, and it does, and hers makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the first female to not actually be successful with the cash in, but if they make that because of Jade and the storyline, it makes sense. But you're right too about the Money in the Bank on the men's side, because that's where they had Drew win it last year, cash it in, fail because of Punk, and then we don't have to worry about it. Because I'm with you, like I get why it works, and the Money in the Bank is fun. But yeah, I'm kind of over the gimmick too of like because it can totally derail storylines, or look what did Austin Theory. It derailed him for a while.
Right. Unless you have somebody who is ready and primed for it, you can't just throw it on. You can't giving it to guys like Jack Swagger and Austin Theory and stuff like that is kind of what ruined the gimmick. You have to have somebody ready and primed. And you don't, like Jey Uso would have been the only person last year besides Drew McIntyre that probably could have pulled it off and really gotten the gimmick back over. This year, maybe Gable or El Grande Americano. Gable wasn't in the match, so it had to be but geez, I completely failed to talk about this. Seeing Chad Gable basically main event 2 pay-per-views in one day yesterday made my heart feel so good, man. That guy deserves it more than so many people. I'm so happy.
I mean, just being able to remember everything in both of those matches, because you're in a match with Vikingo, you're doing a bunch of crazy shit, and then you got the Money in the Bank, which is also a bunch of crazy shit. Yeah, no, shout out to him. I mean, Vaquer as well, having 3 matches in I think someone did the math and it was like 17 and a half hours between the 3 matches. Like, good Lord. That's awesome. And that's how you get over.
I saw someone say yesterday that it's not something you love to talk about, but this feels like they are priming both of them for something big, right? Because before you do, you gotta make sure that they're not gonna fall apart. And you don't want to see people injured, but if she didn't get injured doing 3 matches in 17 hours, one of them being a Money in the Bank match, if Chad Gable didn't get injured doing 2 matches within a few hours, both of them being very high impact, you can pretty much bet that you won't have a problem putting some money behind them,
Not even that they did the Money in the Bank match as well, but that was the last match for both of them. Like if Steph went into that match beat up, and shout out to both of them. Another shout out too of like a moment that no one's talking about is we got the I hate you solo moment, which was awesome, but it was, it's been buried by all the other stuff that's happened. But I feel like that's something that has been building for quite a while, and you kind of knew it was going to come, but it was cool to see.
Well, and then I think the story that Becky and Lyra told was brilliant. The whole, it's something very simple, really does go back to like the territory days, the idea of like, you're going to raise my hand if I win.
Yes.
That's a stipulation that you don't see very much because it takes 2 very talented people to get it over. And they did it. It was kind of weird seeing Lyra with her little chicken hair at the end walking around. That whole thing. She's trying to be super serious and she has one little chicken hair sticking up on her head like alfalfa, and it's weird. But,
it happened.
Their story was good. The Dom Octagon thing, I mean, they had a good match and it did what it was supposed to. My kid now knows who Octagon Jr. is, which is, saying a lot, considering he didn't know any of these guys 3 months ago. Now he, not only does he know who Octagon Jr. is, but all he talks about is Mr. Iguana. So they're doing something, and he didn't even watch the match. He just saw the clips on the pay-per-view last night, and that's all he's talking about today. Well, besides truth,
Right. No, that's awesome. No, that was the entire point of having the show. It made perfect sense. And yeah, I thought it was a very successful day for WWE overall with showing their partnership with AAA. They even were able to get NXT people even more over with Javon Evans and Ethan Page and everybody looking great. I thought it was smart to have Dom get involved on the AAA show to then have a match at, Money in the Bank, which is funny because when George and I did our preview for Money in the Bank, I'm like, I'm really surprised there isn't a 5th match on this card. And we recorded on Thursday, so I thought it was going to be added on SmackDown, but they figured it out and put it through on Saturday. So it all worked.
Yeah. And it was a good match. And remember, they had a good day yesterday, but you remember the day before, actually earlier in that afternoon when people were saying that, who was it? Was it Coach? It wasn't Coach. There was somebody who said
Coach.
Like with 18 months, Triple H is going to be ousted from TKO. Like, you really think Triple H is going to be ousted from TKO within 18 months because of what? Because there's 5 people complaining about him. Like, come on, dude. Really? Like,
somebody, I think whoever said it said he was
going
going to be replaced by like The Rock's friend. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's it. It was going to be a power move from The Rock's friend. Like, yeah, like, no, we've all seen what's going on. Especially with how bad things are going with UFC. I'm like, this is TKO's cash cow right now. They're happy. They're doing well.
When you actually look at it.
I don't believe. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, George.
No,
I was just going to say, I don't believe that, it was really quick. I don't believe that, TKO views WWE with the same reverence as they do UFC. I do think that UFC is their baby. But that being said, they do know where their bread is buttered.
Right.
And WWE is the cash cow right now.
Exactly. It might not be their baby, but it's the cash cow. So, all right, we'll take it. Yeah. They're not upset about it. That's for sure.
I think the amount of people that are actually considered on Twitter are a very, very small percentage of wrestling fans. Like,
there's 100%.
Not a lot compared
Absolutely.
to the actual people. Yeah.
Well, you look at our show, and I mean, I'm just using that as an example because it's the one that I see constantly. I can't believe how many people show up in the chat or show up in Discord that have never even been on X or involved in the IWC. They're just wrestling fans, YouTube videos, or wrestling fans who find Discord channels to join because they don't want this whole like Reddit, X, Blue Sky weird ecosystem really is not very conducive to being a wrestling fan a lot of times, unless you just really like to fight. You know, it's a fun diversion, but, most wrestling fans are just a consumer. I sat next to a kid when I went to Backlash who had never watched wrestling on TV. He had only watched wrestling on YouTube.
Wow.
And he knew every storyline. He knew every wrestler. He had t-shirts. He had signs. He was fully invested, and he had never watched it on Peacock or USA or any of that. It was only YouTube.
And that's why the ratings discourse always kind of bothers me, because people are like, oh, well, they're not getting what they got back in the 90s or back in the, of course not. People aren't consuming it the same way. It's not the same. They've got 100 million YouTube subscribers. As far as I know, they're in the top, like, it's either they're like 10th, 11th, or 12th in all of YouTube for subscribers. They're fine. It's okay. That's why they have all these other YouTube channels. It's not, people consume it through clips now that people don't, I mean, kids today don't watch regular TV shows most of the time. Like the fact that your son wants to watch every match and watch the actual shows is kind of awesome, because you don't see that a lot with most, maybe people of our generation don't anymore.
It's the only thing that he will sit through that's that long. You know, like he
there
will
you
not
go.
sit through anything else. And I really think that I really think that's the only reason he does it is because he's in a household with a dad who grew up that way. But if he was in a house with somebody who wasn't a wrestling fan already, he'd be just consuming clips and doing it like all the other kids are doing it. Or the video game.
Oh,
so many people are fans of just the video game. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And I mean, I can remember, that happened back when I was playing No Mercy with my friends. Like, we would get people to, me and one of my good friends who I'm still friends with today. And side note, he's one of those people who has no idea like what's going on Twitter and the discourse and all that. Like, so we're going to try to go to Raw tomorrow, and like, I'll talk to him about some stuff, but I know he's got no idea what's going on in the IWC. But he and I used to like play No Mercy with friends, and we'd have people that would play with us and they'd be like, oh, who is this? What's going on? And we try to tell the storylines, and we made them wrestling fans. One of them is a wrestling friend who I'm still friends with today that goes to shows all the time with me. He went with me to SmackDown when Tiffany cashed in at the beginning or in the first SmackDown of the year. We were at that show live.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Right? It's fun. Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
But it's a different way of
I still have wrestling buddies from way back then. So yeah, it's nice to have those people that can, you know, go to those shows with you. But the game stuff drives me crazy though, because all the kids like are so obsessed now with signature moves and like this is a signature, this is a finisher, this is this, and this is this, and this is what this is called. Yeah. You say it's like, oh, come on. you know, it's like, is who came to wrestling through video games, and most of them are AEW fans, to be fair.
Yeah. Which I mean is also probably why they expect people to kick out of 46, to have 37 false finishes in a match, because everybody's got to kick out of their finisher 3 times. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense when you actually think about it.
But when we talk about how the IWC, it's not a big percentage of the fans, what's funny though is that it does, I haven't noticed by going to WWE shows that a lot of the IWC bleeds into the WWE shows. But I went to a TNA show a couple months ago. My entire section when, Cody Deaner was doing the gimmick where he was like, he has to leave TNA, and everybody in my section was like, send his ass to AEW. That's,
Yeah, wow.
That's the place you go to die. And it's like, these guys are not like, I had a sign that had my screen name on it because I was promoting the show.
Right.
And none of them had ever heard of any of us. They weren't IWC guys. They were just wrestling fans, but they were still doing the AEW thing. And that's when man, you gotta do something. AEW's gotta do something. They gotta change something, but they just won't.
Yeah, but they just won't. Yeah.
I assume for Tooney Talk, you have to watch Dynamite every week. So do you see anything on Dynamite that's got your interest that you think can go somewhere?
I mean, it's not all the thing about wrestling, is for me is that I can enjoy bad wrestling, right? I liked WCW till its dying day. I was a diehard NWA TNA fan during the weekly wrestling, when they were doing I like bad wrestling if it's fun or if it's different, if it's at least entertaining. But AEW is just not that's really the core problem. It's not so much the guys, it's the fact that it's just kind of boring. And I don't mean that it's like long matches, and it's just nothing happens. And what does happen there's no connection to anything else on the show. It just seems like a string of I'm watching Wrestling Robot Chicken, where it's just like a stream of random events that happen on TV between this time, and none of them are connected in any way. And enjoy.
That's a great analogy. I thought about Robot Chicken forever.
If there's anything in AEW that I could like point at, I like the Outrunners. I think they have a lot of talent in terms of getting over and making characters for themselves. I think that, I like some of the matches. I'm not a Will Ospreay hater. I think he's a douche, but I think Logan Paul's a douche too. It doesn't mean that I can't recognize that he's a good performer. And I like Kenny Omega, even though he does weird things like dresses up like Chun-Li or whatever and makes little videos for no reason. I like his matches. I cannot stand, the Hurt Business or the Hurt Syndicate or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I think their stuff is really good, and you can tell Tony has nothing to do with that. It's like,
right. Cause they're taking their time with it.
Their whole,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have to imagine their situation is MVP goes up to Tony and says, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then turns around and walks back into the locker room. And then Tony goes, okay. And then he slowly walks away. I don't think Tony ever talks to those guys. Did you see when they had their scrum and they were on it? And they were yelling at the press the whole time, and Bobby Lashley looked like he wanted to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you know that as soon as they got off, MVP looks at Tony and says, I am never doing that shit again.
Yeah.
So I do like the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, and you can see with that story, like they're taking their time with it. My biggest problem with AEW when I watch it is I'm like, they're running out stories that they run them out in 3 weeks that should have taken 3, 6, 12 months. Like that's why I know a lot of people are into the Tony Storm gimmick, but I'm like, for me, it was like they ran it all out in like 6 weeks, what should have taken a year, maybe 2. Even their comeback with the amnesia thing, like they just rush everything and it drives me insane.
They rush it. They rush the stories, and they don't know how to kill the characters, right? Like Tony Storm, that character is done.
Right.
That character is ancient. It's dead and buried, man. And they keep resurrecting that corpse and putting it back on TV and making her eat steak or having her
like Weekend at Tony's, man. Like
or
they
doing
just
whatever
keep
the hell
rolling
she
out
does.
there.
Yeah. That and there's a few gimmicks in AEW that are just deader. Orange Cassidy, deader than dead. Say what you want about Jericho, but at least he switched things up, I guess.
Right.
Because these guys, the Elite, The Elite is so old and played, and now we're gonna. By the way, I'm telling you, man, by the end of this year, that company they're either gonna be gone or they're gonna be every champion by the end of this year.
Literally double or nothing. They're everything or nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because
I hope it's nothing.
There's that rumor going. There's the rumor that they're willing to paycheck left on their contract to start a new company. And usually I don't pay a lot of credence to those rumors, but that actually sounds realistic to me that the Bucks are like, we can do this better. What is Tony doing with Mox? Stupid Mox.
Look, if they take Excalibur with them, I'll be a lot more interested. Yeah. Like, Jesus, please go. Go. I would be a lot more interested because there's times I try to watch AEW every week. I don't watch Collision, I admit that, but I try to watch Dynamite. And there's usually something in the first half hour that either Excalibur does or one of them that I'm just like, I can't. It's just so annoying. So please take all your little friends and go do the Cucamonga Wrestling Federation and we'll all try to enjoy actual wrestling. I'm into that.
Every week on Dynamite, no matter how good the matches are and no matter how good the flow feels, something's going to happen that is going to be the worst thing you've ever seen. And you're not going to be able to look past that one thing that you saw. And it's going to be stuck in your head and it's all you can think. The last time I was on PWT, it was because I was having an aneurysm after watching Dynamite. I had to scream because it was so stupid. It's just stupid.
No,
you can't do it.
No, and that started from their first episode. Because was it the first episode where they had the Dark Order come out and like the bad punches that didn't hit anybody? That was like the first so like literally you're right. Because there was good stuff on that show, but there was also the worst thing you've ever seen. Put that on AEW Tombstone. There was some decent shit, but there was also the worst shit you've ever seen. Like that's them to a fucking T. Dead on, my friend. Jesus. Nailed it.
Well, on that note, I do have to go take some kids home.
I was just thinking, I'm like, man, that's a great way for him to just out of the park, walk off Homer. Peace, everybody. Like, that was perfect. You nailed it. Like, you hit it out of the park, my friend. Like, just applause. I love it.
I appreciate it.
Oh, and shout out to
This. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Please, do your plugs.
Thanks. Do you care if I do a little plug in here? Okay.
By all means.
TooneyDisc.lol. TooneyDisc.lol is our Discord. We hang out, for SmackDown and Raw every week. That's for Tooney Talk Wrestling.
Nice.
So if you want to go there, you can join our Discord. And also, as you probably know, Tooney Talk Wrestling, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube at Toon Wrestling. But I also want to say, if you are not unable to catch the show on Tuesdays, or you're just not I'm going to sit back and watch a live stream guy, we are now on all audio podcast formats. So Spotify, Apple, anywhere that you get your audio podcast, you can go. And I'd appreciate it if people would at least like drop a like or download us or subscribe, because it helps in the numbers. We were number 26 in Japan last week, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're big in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's part of the Wrestling Soup Network. But yeah, if you could go and do that, that would really help me out. And thank you guys for having me on. I like what you're doing. This is, you ready for a compliment? This is the best space I've ever been a part of. Your guys' show here. So
that's the goal, my friend. Thank you. We appreciate that. And that's the whole reason we do this, is to try to get subscribers to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AltJakeTakesOn. We're trying to grow as well. We're trying to be something different and create a more enjoyable world with it. So glad you had fun with it.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, my friend.
I'm actually texting your link to somebody right now who asked where they can hear my show.
Love it. Yeah, I will
tonight. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I will get this posted. So. I'm a one-man operation with the tech side, but I make sure to get these posted pretty quickly because we've got a lot of people tuning in live, but I'm all for keeping it going. Thanks so much for joining us, my friend. This was awesome. We had a great time.
Thanks. I'll check you guys later.
Peace.
Thank you, sir.
Peace.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was fun. I knew we were going to be in for a good time, but that was a lot of fun. Oh, and thank you for Keith Sims. He put in our chat that, WWE's number 11 in all of YouTube for subscribers. They're the only sports channel inside the top 90. So yeah, I knew they were doing well. So top 11. That's pretty good.